Labels and export. Way back in SAT 36, I talked about using Audacity's label track feature for audiobook editing using positron. We're looking at another use for labels in this edition of Stuart's Audacity Tips. One of the cool things about Audacity is the enormously wide diversity of tasks it's been used to solve. While the examples provided in SAT may target a specific use, it amazes me how they get used for all kinds of jobs I would never imagine. So spread the word far and wide. Keep those amazing stories coming in. One of Audacity's often overlooked superpowers lies in the label track. I've worked with many people who have remarked something like, "I don't think I'd ever need that," when introduced to its existence. I get that. Sometimes the concept of text attached to an audio project just doesn't click. But there's one great use of the label track that can be applied to lots of different uses. It's called Export Multiple Files, and it's very easy to overlook. When you choose File Export from the main menu, Audacity displays the Export Audio dialog. When you click on the Multiple Files option under Export Range, a new section of the dialog box opens with options for exporting multiple files. Before we explore the options in that dialog, let's set up some audio with labels. Each label is set at the beginning of a section of audio that we want to export to a separate file. Now, back to the Export Audio dialog with multiple files selected. There are several options we can use. The first option is split files based on tracks or labels. The techniques we'll look at can be based on either. We're only looking at labels for now. Below that, there's a checkbox for Include Audio Before First Label. In our example, the first label is at the very beginning, so we'll leave this unchecked. To the right, the Name Files section lets us specify how we want to name the files we're exporting. We want files that use the text in our labels as file names, so the option for Using Label/Track Name is perfect. The other options are fairly self-explanatory, and I encourage you to play with them to see how they work. Finally, there's a checkbox for Overwrite Existing Files. Check it if you want the exported files to replace files with the same names. For example, if you're repeating an export after fixing something. With the option selected, click on the Export button to create the files. Since we had WAV format selected in the top part of the Export Audio dialog, we get a dialog that shows the files that have been exported. And indeed, a quick check of the output folder shows those files do exist. The observant among you will notice that I started writing this on a Linux machine and finished on a Mac. That's why the output folder changed. There are tons of ways you might use this approach to create whatever set of files you might need. If you have an interesting case where this helps, I'd love to hear about it. And there's one more wrinkle to this multiple export tool that I've saved for next time, too. Hope this helps. I'm Stuart.